everyone, welcome back to more Flesh and Bad, and today we're going to be playing some Puffin. So LSS, I think, released a bunch of articles alongside the release of the High Seas, where they kind of like did like a little like CC deck tech for a bunch of the new heroes, and one of them was Puffin. I think this article was, I think, written by Sam Sutherland. Let me actually pull it up here. But he basically like goes over like this kind of like initial Puffin build that he made. It's like a Puffin deck, which seemed pretty all right. So I wanted to kind of give this list a shot. So I basically just imported straight into Fabric, read his little kind of write up, and then kind of moved a bunch of cards to the sideboard. I think this list is probably like the best Puffin list. Like a lot of the Puffin lists I've seen have kind of lacked a lot of focus. At least it seems like there's so many things you can be doing with Puffin, but it feels like Pummel might be one of the stronger ones you can do at this rate. I don't know. There's definitely like a lot of deck building that I think people are still exploring with Puffin. Like there's the more like aggro builds, there's the more like this kind of build where you're kind of like doing a bunch of two costs and then like pummeling him and stuff. But this list has at least performed the best, at least from like when I've played against it. Like it seemed like it's a pretty strong version of the build, so I want to just kind of play it today. There's no, I think, changes from again his original list, but I just wanted to kind of give it a shot today and just see how Puffin plays, and then maybe hopefully use that as kind of like a building ground in case we want to play some Puffin in the future. Yeah, but with that, I think we're going to go ahead and just get some games. Again, if you want to read the full write-up, I think it's on LSS's website, fabtcg.com, so go ahead and give it a read. All right, so we got a Slippy. So Slippy is a little bit of a tougher matchup. I think this might be a Crown of Providence matchup. And then we definitely probably want our Fate for Scenes as well. I feel like the pummels are maybe like a core part of the game plan, so we would cut over that. Like maybe the yellow Zeppelins are like kind of bad. Something like this. We could also run like 60 or like 61 or something. It's Slippy. I don't think you need it, but maybe like the Riches is kind of interesting to bring in. Let's run it like this, see how it goes. All right, they're putting us on the play. All right, very interesting equipment setup here. This maybe indicates they're kind of going a little bit all in on like Bonds Wagon and stuff. I guess we can cog in the machine here. Let's crank some cogs. And I think tapping a cog is also fine just to put it on the bottom. Preserve a little bit of the deck density. Then we have 2 action points here. I guess we can like swing CNC into Spitfire at them. It's not bad. Then we just arsenal the Fate for Scene here. We get a couple cards out of them. I think I'm fine with this. Do obviously get filtering, but I don't think filtering typically matters a ton for Slippy. It feels like a lot of their cards are kind of at the same power level anyways. Just in terms of like, it feels like there's not really a ton of standout cards for them, except like Codex, I guess. That's like their only power card-ish. Alright, Bonds of Attraction. We have the Pinion Sentry if we want to make another cog. It's kind of tempting. We do also have Sunken Treasure, which we don't have a yellow yet. It's maybe a little bit not super helpful. Let's go ahead and use the Pinion Sentry here. Oh, actually, sorry. We don't want to actually crank the cog there. Tap a cog, no crank on the cog, just so we have it for next turn. Right, following up with a leave no. So that's pretty good coverage with our paper scene. And then on our turn, what do? We probably just like Cogworks Workshop, pitching the Sunken Treasure. It's a little bit awkward. I almost kind of want to just like give, like I want to almost like sandbag the paper scene a little bit. You can also galvanize. That's kind of tempting as well. I think this might be correct. It does feel like a little bit awkward. But the galvanize does seem like pretty alright here. Yeah, the blue 4 block is pretty nice. Right, so what are we doing here? So we're Cogworks Workshopping, just setting up some cogs for next turn. So we'll crank our cog, add our steam counters, and then could theoretically poly. But it's pretty easy for them to like clear here, and we don't really know what we're drawing towards. So I think Spitfire for 3 might be the safer play. I think I'll just take a little bit of a setup turn here. All right, giving us the Mask of Deceit. What did they roll into? All right, Trapdoor is not an amazing roll for them. So I am a bit happy about that. Ooh, we do have the Skywarden as well. Yeah, it seems pretty good for us. Spider's Bite is like a little bit annoying against Skywarden, but not that bad. Right, into the bonds. All right, how big of a bonds is this going to be? Could throw most of our hand in front of it. I could throw like 4 here, or I guess it's like 3 here, right? We don't have go again on this, which is also interesting, which maybe means we should just like give the whole hand here and take us like an off turn. That might be correct. It's not like give go again. I guess they can like do something and like go again into Codex or whatever, but they have the black text, so maybe we just give up the whole hand here and just get some gold for future turns. I think this is fine, especially if they're gonna like just super pump into this. Now we don't even need to really use our Fate Pristine unless we like want to deny the go again. So stains the red back. The next attack reaction costs a redless device. So if they have Codex and Arsenal, they get Leave No, and then we just cover that with Fate. So we don't really need to respond to this. They're gonna rip 2 cards off the, or sorry, how many Justinics is this? It's just 1 Justinic. All right, this is just 1 Justinic, so just 1 card off the top. I think we don't need to use Fate here. We could also just stuff it so they don't get to Codex. It's kind of tempting. I think we will Fate. Let's find a top, I think. Because now we denied the action point, which I think is pretty relevant. So we're drawing in a Murderous Rabble if we want to Puffin plus Poly. I feel like we need to be a little bit conservative with our Poly. They do have Codex still, which is a bit awkward. Also, holding on to the Fate might have been better. Alright, Kiss Death, also fine. Just go ahead and say no blocks to this. Still think they're sitting on Codex and Arsenal. At least that's kind of what it felt like to me. Alright, this is all just vanilla damage though, so I don't really care. Alright, flicking some stuff at us, sure. Right, Command Conquer and Pummel gone. Very unfortunate. Let's go ahead and I think this is going to be our Polycranka turn. So crank our cog, crank our bird, draw, see what we get. Ooh, Zeppelin is pretty big deal. So now our soup up is live because we sacked a gold. So we're going to go ahead and start with that. Then we can Murderous Rabble into Cogwork Zeppelin. It's a little bit awkward. We can also just like Arsenal Rabble. Yeah, I think Arsenal Rabble might make a little bit more sense here. Just so that we're playing around the codex that we think they have. So yeah, I think we're just gonna pull Tunic and pummel this. They need 2 reacts here. And then I don't think we do any instants yet because we might want to tap our cog. Tap our cog. Do we want to crank? Means we get to shoot it with Spitfire. So I guess that's worth it. Discarding a Razor's Edge and then follow up with Spitfire. Pretty decent here. We have this Rabble in Arsenal for the codex that we're suspecting. So I think we just say no blocks on this. And banishing random cards like somewhat annoying, but not the end of the world. Especially if they're not killing the bird. That's a pretty good one, but they might not be able to cast that if they're more like a redline slipping. Okay, they did have the codex in Arsenal, so we did play around it pretty well. All right, it's coming up with the Leave No, but Polycranka lives, which is actually pretty huge for us. So I think we maybe want to give up Murderous Rabble plus Unicycle here. Then what do we do on our turn? We crank our bird, we crank our hero. Maybe look to Arsenal, this cogging machine. And then maybe try to do something with this pummel. Tan needs like a little bit of help, but we'll make it work. All right, let's go ahead and get our Polycranka value. So crank our cog, crank our bird, draw into a blue. Is that helpful? I can pummel another Zeppelin, but it's only coming in for like 7-ish. Kind of plays, but it's like not super exciting. You could also cog in the machine, play the Zeppelin, not pummel, and just play Murderous Rabble. Let's, I guess, see what's on top of the Murderous Rabble. All right, coming for 0, a little unfortunate, but that's fine. Or maybe an Arsenal's pummel anyways. So let's crank. Pitching the bark. And then we're gonna go for the pummel and Arsenal. Crank. Do we want to tap? Don't think we want to tap. No, I don't think we tap. Then we go to just go ahead and send in the Zeppelin here, which will hopefully demand 2 cards. So maybe we can pump this once. Then we can tap. All right, so we do get to play around the sync below here by doing this, sure. So we hit, tap, not crank. Then we send with Spitfire, tapping a cog for the Spitfire. Oh, this only comes in for 2 because the frailty. That makes sense, sure. All right, go ahead and Arsenal the pummel, pass back. They do still need to kill his poly at some point this game, right? Letting the poly live does feel a bit suspect. All right, this is a hand that definitely needs some help. Like maybe with Chrono Province if we get the opportunity this turn. But I think we're not saying any. We're going to say no blocks to this. Just let them do whatever with the Artist Our Body. To draw a card might not be the end of the world. Right, Fate is a little bit annoying of a hit. As long as we don't get like Conqueror of the High Seas. Okay, we are getting Conqueror of the High Seas. That's a little bit annoying, but that's fine. Go ahead and just block with Crown here and get rid of our Arsenal. Hopefully draw towards like a blue. All right, no blues. Not super helpful here. It's kind of a nasty hit on the Infiltrate. All right, still attacking me. Sure. As long as they have Codex here, we might be okay. Sure. Okay, no Codex is definitely a big deal for us. All right, so we lose some cogs. We can get to soup up. How do we crank again? I don't know if we do crank again. Probably don't, which means we just like send soup up. A little bit unfortunate. Right, there's shelter, sure. Might just want to CNC here. Yeah, CNC might be the most disruptive thing we can do, and then we can Arsenal like a Dovetail. All red hand there is definitely quite unfortunate. We do get to clear them out. And if they can't kill the poly here, then we maybe are setting ourselves up pretty well for next turn. We unfortunately are already getting crank, so poly's still not super useful. But it is helping spiritually, I think. Let's go ahead and cog pitching Skywarden, I guess. We're probably more wanting to pummel Zeppelin, although like pummel Skywarden's like not terrible. Let's go ahead and pitch the Zeppelin. Double crank. No tap, I think, because they have the dovetail. And then I think we're just sending in with the Cogworks. We pitch this. We have 4. We can't do everything. We could also just pummel this at them. And that's like fine. Yeah, this hand's not super exciting to me. Yeah, I guess, I mean, we're probably just pummeling the Skywarden, right? It's like a little bit better than playing out the dovetail, I think. Do you think we kind of just need to like pummel our way to victory a little bit here? Get a card out of them, which is nice. Still sitting on dovetail for next turn if we need it. And I guess we can send a Spitfire for 3 as well. It's pretty decent. So all in all, not terrible for us, I think. Get a bonds out of them too, which is pretty huge. All right, this is definitely a good Conquer the High Seas turn. All right, undercover acquisition, steal an item. I don't think I can afford to care about this. If they steal a cog, what happens? Like, we don't really care because they're just going away anyways. I think this is fine. You may have a cog. I think that is acceptable. All right, infiltrate is scary. I kind of don't want that to live. Kind of almost want to just like tinker rings here. Let's tinker rings. Let's just have like a really big turn next turn. We'll go with the tunic and the cogworks here, I think. Not Crank or Cog, and just have that set up for next turn. Alright, so we Cogworks Workshop, Crank. So the only problem with this hand is that... See, again, another hand where Poly is really awkward, because we can't, like, if we want to play this out, we can draw a card, but we're not guaranteed to draw into a red. So it might be correct to just conquer the high seas into Zeppelin. Sad as it is, this Poly just has not been doing a ton of work with some of the hands we're drawing. Like, we could have definitely YOLO'd into a blue, but if we get a red, it's almost like game losing, it feels like. I think we should just take the safe line here. Four card 14 seems like pretty reasonable, and then we still are sitting on Dovetail. Right, seems like they maybe have React here. It's good with me. We just get to eat some equipment, which is nice. I guess this has Battle Ward, so I guess it's still in effect, technically. Alright, following up the Zeppelin. I think we're just going to tap Crank. And I guess we get to draw a card here. It's actually a pretty big deal. Crank. Okay, I actually like this play a little bit. So now we can Dovetail. It's kind of getting spicy. So now I have to like give 7 block to this. So I think we just get greedy. Go ahead and +1 again. Then when we hit, we can untap our cogs, get go again on this. So we tap, go again, and then we get to Spitfire to finish it off. It's a pretty big turn. I wasn't really thinking about Zeppelin as necessarily like an on-hit action point there, but it's definitely why it's in the deck, right? Right, our Desire. So you can Skyward in this. That's pretty good. We can also turn something over in their bin. We can turn something over in our bin as well. Yeah, I think that seems fine. Go ahead and turn over. I do want to make a gold here, so I guess we'll like turn over a Codex or whatever. This deck does block pretty well. All right, finishing with a Leave No and a Toxicity. Are they just like hoping I don't see the toxicity? That's kind of funny. Let's go ahead and just block with Skyward in here, double pay into it with the cogs, and then we're pretty set up for next turn. Yeah, them not killing the poly, I think, has like kind of kept us in this game, which is kind of nice. All right, and then we'll go ahead and Puffin, get our free card draw every turn. Yes, poly is putting in a lot of work. I think we might want to filter here. We also use Rabble to inform what we're drawing towards. Yeah, we might need to do. I mean, we probably are just need to draw towards something anyways. All right, this is not helpful. I guess we can Rabble. So awkward. Oh, Palantir on top is actually fine. So now we can draw towards Palantir, play Palantir. Still super awkward though. All right, go ahead and pump for 1. See what their answer is. Oh, maybe they just didn't have an answer there. Well, that was a pretty good game, I think, with Polly. Polly does put in a lot of work when you don't deal with it, which is quite nice. Yeah, Polly Cranka can put in a huge amount of work if you just like leave it on the board for a while. I think like there are a couple turns where like we didn't do anything, but like them leaving it for like as long as they did meant that I think we drew like 2 or 3 cards off this. I have to watch it back to make sure, but yeah, Polly Cranka pretty solid when you can draw like when you turn into like a draw 2 or draw 3 that also gives you +1 life. All right, that was a pretty good first one. Let's go ahead and see if we can get another. All right, playing against a Cindra. Cindra definitely a bit scary here. I think we'll go second, but this does not seem like a particularly good matchup for Puffin. I feel like we almost maybe want the crown just as like additional block value. What else seems good? The Jolly Bludgers don't seem very good. Fate's kind of tempting, but also maybe not necessary. What else do we probably not want? I think this seems like maybe fine. I feel like board out the Zeppelins for the Fate for Scenes here. I think it's like a pretty reasonable swap. Alright, not starting out with gold is like a little bit rough, but I do still think we kind of need the help here. Alright, starting out with the Warmongers is kind of interesting. Let's go ahead and just choose War, I guess. This hand's kind of trash. But we can at least send a Conquer the High Seas, and we'll still have the on hit available. It doesn't have the go again, but the Destroy All Arsenal part of the card is still technically live. A little bit awkward, but Conquer Zeppelin is a decent Arsenal target. Yeah, drawing Golden Skywardens at the wrong time is also just super awkward. All right, we do get our first gold generation, which is quite nice. I actually learned that this card made gold the other day, which is kind of crazy that I didn't realize that you make a gold for every card you destroy. Maybe I just like have not seen it like hit in a very long time, but it's just kind of interesting. All right, looks like they're gonna swing with the Ignite here. I don't think we try to go for a block here. I think we maybe try to block. So I think my plan is here, I'm going to block Chainlink 2, hope they flick a dagger, and then try to Sunken Treasure them on Chainlink 3. That doesn't fully work, though. We probably need them to do something else. I guess now we can technically get them to flick here, but we still don't have like the window to Sunken Treasure, which is a little bit awkward. There might just not be a window here. Like, I think if we maybe block Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, then they'd have to pay a resource to get their daggers back, and then maybe it gets a little bit awkward for them. Seems fine to give the unicycle here, especially if they're not going to flick us. Alright, so now they're going to have 3 additional chain links, presumably. Alright, Brando Cinderclaw is fine. I think we'll just let that hit. Alright, following up with the Display Loyalty. Don't really have a good card to like turn over yet. So the play might just be like Buck with Pinion Sentry or Rabble. I think Rabble might be better as a block. Not super impressed by this card in Puffin. It kind of just feels like a blue 3 block more than anything that you can kind of play in late game. But the inconsistency of this card just does feel a bit rough. Right, they do have a dagger we can threaten, but they can always still just like buy back. Alright, fortunately just ending on a 0 for 3. So we can safely block this, I think. I guess we'll threaten the dagger. Like they're gonna be able to buy it back anyways, but I think it's fine. Then we can just like Arsenal soup up here or whatever. Go ahead and turn over Fire Gen Strike Fist, don't think it matters. We could do a Poly Cranka turn this turn if we wanted to. It actually does work out semi-nicely, because we do want a cog to actually use with the Zeppelin here. Yeah, this might just be a Poly Cranka turn. Let's go for it. I think it's a little bit early, but Cindra has like a million ways to deal with it anyways, so it's not, I think, the end of the world here. They have to give us Dagger Swing. I think it's fine. Right, go ahead and use our red soup up here. This actually works out quite nicely, I think. We do 0 for 4 into 0 for 2 into Zeppelin. We could also just like Arsenal soup up if we want to try to like use Crown to fish for something better. I think that's also kind of reasonable. Let's actually do that play instead. Let's try to save this just so we can like get rid of it with Crown. It's like playing out a 0 for 2 is not incredibly exciting to me. I imagine they probably can't afford to block this, but it looks like they might be going for it. Take 2 cards out of Cinder's hand. I think I'm like also kind of happy with this. We also pop our unicycle too if we really wanted to try to force it through. I think we're not going to pump here with the assumption that they're going to dereact. If they dereact this, I think that's fine. So we're going to just Arsenal soup up and pass back. I assume they're probably just going to take a turn off to kill Poly here. Right, shoot, Poly Cranka saving us basically 3 health is quite nice. Next hand's a little bit awkward, but still semi-functional. We can now just like play the soup up and then swing with like Zeppelin to finish it. We don't get the rank trigger, but that's gonna be fine. We're just gonna workshop, make a cog, send Zeppelin. It's still pretty threatening on hit. Crank it, put steam counter, Zeppelin. So it's actually funny if we hit with this, we can actually crank, which is quite nice. And that means we'll draw a card. Yeah, so I think this is pretty good. Draw a card, we'll create a cog, crank it, we get an extra card draw, which maybe turns into some damage, maybe not. That's fine, but now we can at least follow up with the Spitfire as well. So we basically got like 2 value out of that, which is pretty decent. Then we're also just sitting on double react, which could be pretty good if Cindra's keeping a 5-card hand here. This hand plays. Not super exciting, but probably fine. So what is our play next turn? We're probably going to cog the machine, soup up, probably just double fate, whatever they do on this turn. Seems fine. A little bit worried if they have a like Blood Run Steep here and the fate gets like a little bit more awkward. But we have like Cogwork Tinkerings to I guess deal with that. Alright, coming with a Strike Fist. I think we will go ahead and just give 1 fate to deal with this. Try to deny the mass triggers as much as possible here. Ooh, Skyward on top I think is actually kind of good if we're gonna cog the machine. So I think we're gonna leave that on top. And we're also gonna be drawing into we're gonna be drawing into it, which is really awkward. Oh, maybe we actually do want to opt at bottom. Maybe. Could theoretically not crank, and then we set up 3 cogs to just make a bunch of gold on the next turn. That's kind of tempting. Like, block out this turn, set up some cogs with Coggin Machine, and then just, like, Arsenal pass back. I feel like we're still supposed to just opt this bottom. How much gold do we have right? We have no gold. God, I want this card, like, so bad. But I don't... It's, like, so awkward to, like, actually make it work with this hand. I guess we can pull Tunic, Coggin Machine, double not crank. Draw into that next turn, sack. I think that works. It's not super exciting, though. Probably just going to try to find an excuse to block with the Murderous Rabble here. Ooh, Spreading Flames kind of coming late in the chain here. Yeah, this is fine. We're just going to go ahead and give a little bit of blocking value here. I think our play is going to stay largely the same. We can play the soup up too if we really want to. Yeah, I think this is fine. So let's go ahead and Tunic. I guess we soup up first. Could also... this is giving me a headache. No, blocking 6 is like just so good, right? I mean, it's not really good against Cindra, but Cindra does often have like some chain enders that are worth blocking 6. So I guess maybe we don't even play out the soup up here. We just cog in the machine, crank, or no. I guess it doesn't matter if we crank or not. We will tap a cog, I guess. And then we're just like IPing with this, which is still super awkward. I guess I get to send Spitfire for 3, which is like not bad. Yeah, I think we maybe just needed to hold on to the Sky Warden. It feels like rough to do so, but I don't know. It's gonna set us up for the rest of the game pretty well. So it feels like it's worth it to hold on to. I definitely see it being correct to maybe just bottom this and hope we don't draw into it and try to draw into like a different soup up. I guess that was like our card underneath it. Even that's not super exciting to me. Right, can't Sky Warden, but I maybe want to get a little bit more value. Can we do better than 5 here? Maybe 5 is just like the correct way to block. I think I'm just supposed to pass here and maybe try to use Tinker Rings on Chainlink 2 and maybe use this on Chainlink 3 in case we want to sack another cog. This deck is hard. So this is Chainlink 2. Can give the Skywarden here to block, or we can also give Skywarden on Chainlink 3 as an option. Let's maybe try to give Tunic and Tinkerings here, because we're probably not going to get another Tunic out of this game, or like by the time it matters. So I think I'm just going to get a little bit aggressive here, pocket the Tinkering, and then I guess not crank this cog. We're probably still stacking it anyways. But we'll force the flick here, which is, I think, good. Right, they have the best. We might need to leave one of these cogs around so that we can soup up on our turn. All right, there's Devotion. So now this is probably going to be our Skywarden here. So we'll go ahead and block. Definitely get rid of 2 of these. I think we leave this one around and then we break the golden cog here. I think this is correct. We'll block the 1 extra just in case they have empowerment, just so they're not able to force anything through. And we've stopped the mass trigger, hopefully, for this turn. Unless they have some way to go, like, super wide with a dagger or something. Alright, Brand here is fine. I think we might be in decent shape here. We also get the ability to, like, conquer. I think that's also a pretty big deal. So let's go ahead and start by using one of these gold here to try to turn on our Conqueror. So we draw a blue like we did here, then it's like fantastic for us. So soup ups are now alive, so we're basically sending 16 damage with an on hit. Yeah, if we manage to get their arsenal here, I think that probably puts us pretty decently ahead this game. The double 0 for 4s are also quite nice here. We wanted to get supremely greedy. One other play I see is to like play Copper Cog, Puffin, but I think that's maybe too much. Could also like use Puffin to threaten another 2, but I don't know how much that matters either. Could potentially threaten the full 3 if we wanted to off the Spitfire, but I don't think that's necessary either. We just get to time walk him with the Conqueror. I think I'm very happy with that. There is like a small risk we brick on this next turn, but we do have gold to help us fix our hand, so I don't think it's that realistic. And this is perfect, I think. So now we get to use Cogging Machine to just crank a bunch. And we can either send CNC, or if we draw blue, then we can Conqueror as well. So double crank here. Is this our 3rd one? I think it's our 2nd one, right? But no, I guess maybe we didn't even use one. So let's not crank. I think we're passing. It's not going to matter, right? So get our free card draw here. Then we can send Conqueror again. I mean, it's got to be worth it, right? Then we can just sit on CNC and Arsenal, send Spitfire for 3. It's basically threatening lethal. And like, if we get to time walk them again, I think we're kind of okay with that. This card is definitely a powerhouse. All right, let's go ahead and just hold on to the CNC, tap our cog. This may be a little bit more of an aggressive line we could have taken, where we try to like fish for gold. But I feel like that maybe has some risk in terms of like drawing into a blue, or drawing into like a non-blue or whatever. That might have been better though. Like it might be worth the risk there. It looks like we're drawing into Pummel anyways. Okay, so we have CNC Pummel, which is obviously great. We probably just want to block a little bit here and then just send that at them. We can like Galvanize, get rid of a cog. That's fine. What's the scariest follow-up they have here is like Snatch. I guess we get like a little bit punished by Snatch, but it's not the end of the world because they aren't threatening the mask still. All right, Steel Street Hoons, get out of my face. Okay. Seems like they're probably just going to Arsenal here. Could actually get the double crank with Puffin off here. That maybe also doesn't seem super necessary though. Could fish for a gold, fish with the gold and just see what we draw. That seems fine. So we draw a copper cog this way, we get to keep an arsenal. So I think this is actually probably decent. Drawing to blue off that, like keeping an arsenal, especially like copper cog, is a pretty big deal for next turn because we're going to be able to get the extra gold from Puffin to start cranking and stuff. All right, we're going to attempt to do the clean 6 block on here, but fortunately we do have to punish for that. All right. And we'll go ahead and give them a discard as well. And it seems like that might have been the nail in the coffin for them there. So I think like this matchup seems a little bit scary on paper, but if you're able to like present them with good disruption, like the Conquerors, like I think we drew all 3 Conquerors this game, and then we also drew like our Pummel as well. I think the disruption of this deck is quite real. If we also manage to like snipe equipment with like the Palantir or whatever, I think that also is a pretty big deal as well. All right, so I think that's probably going to wrap it up for today. So this was Sam Sutherland's 0 to 80 deck list. Again, I've not played Puffin, so I figured this would be as good a place as any to kind of start and just do some gameplay to just kind of show on the channel. Puffin, I feel like, is still a deck that does require like a bit of solving. Like maybe Pummel is like what you're supposed to be doing with Puffin, but it definitely feels like it's sometimes at odds with like some of the other cards in our kit, like specifically with like the Dovetails and like the other cards. But like this deck does seem like it uses Pummel quite well, right? Like you have most of your targets other than the Dovetail to kind of pummel as well. So maybe it's not that bad. It just feels like it does have like a little bit of tension with like the soup ups and the dovetails, but maybe that's like enough tension to kind of be reasonable as well. But I think this deck is like quite solid. It's probably the strongest Puffin deck, or like the strongest way I've seen to build Puffin, especially right now. Definitely be curious to see if like Puffin's gonna end up getting any new support in, like the future sets or whatever, because it definitely does feel like I don't know. Maybe I've just not seen a ton of impressive Puffin lists, but it definitely feels like she's wanting a few little areas here and there. All right, but I think that's going to wrap it up for today. So thank you all for watching, and yeah, I will see you all next time. And a special thank you to all the folks who decided it would be a good idea to give us $2 on Patreon. We really appreciate the support, but it's obviously never required.